Now I'm at the point you wanna be with me. I'm vibing out at a higher frequency, cause everything that I want and I'm gonna be, it's when I wake up, that's when I start to dream. Someone you love is talking down, here is the plan. Let it fall through like a handful of sand. Nothing happens overnight, what you must understand. If you dwell on the bad, then you don't stand a chance. Something you want upset, saying why it ain't mine yet. That's because now you have yet to change your mindset. People don't put their mind to rest while they're so wired. A lot of people go to sleep and wake up tired. Power of positivity and persistence. Say that I can, we'll just sit back and witness. Make an impact when our time is done. Make money, help people, and have lots of fun. Whoa.
Welcome to Office Hours, hosted by legendary sports executive, entrepreneur, and investor David Meltzer, where the brightest millionaires, billionaires, and entrepreneurs in business, sports, and entertainment get together to talk about success, failure, and everything in between.
You have the responsibility of providing value to them.
Take a deep dive into the mind of some of the world's most impactful guests.
Really, the goal isn't to be disciplined. The goal is for it to be intuitive.
To share their strategies and tools to dominate their respective fields.
Just decided I'm going to prove them wrong because I feel like this is progressive. This is something that is new and different.
David Meltzer hosts Office Hours.
As easily as well. So I know you're one helping people find their truth and amplifying that as we do here on Clubhouse. So we'll get started. I love you, Amelia, and let's welcome you and I, Jakey Bakey.
Thank you, Dave.
Hey, you sound great, Jake. Welcome, Jakey Bakey. Anyway, thank you, everyone. We are going to do BYOQ. So you bring the questions, I'll bring the answers. And so you go ahead, give me your questions, put them in here. We have over 80,000 people on the webinar. Love what we're doing on Fridays, free Friday trainings. If you want to sign up for a free book or the gratitude challenge, it's just david@dmeltzer.com. david@dmeltzer.com. So load up the questions. Come and join me. Ask me questions. We got every platform running. We're so excited to be here for training, as always. Can't wait to answer your questions. Jake's going to set up the room here. You can hear him right now. You hear him? That's pretty cool. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get these questions going as he is. What's he saying? Amazing.
On the webinar and all over. So if you have a question you'd like to ask David, feel free to just raise your hand or back channel me and we'll aim to bring you up. So with that in mind, Dave, I'll pass it back over to you if you want to take a question to start off here on the webinar, and then we'll bring someone up here on Clubhouse.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Yes, we have tons of questions here, Jake. I'm going to get started right away. Here we go. How do you prioritize your health while you're traveling? Well, first of all, I make a plan and I have a coach. So I have a coach to deal with all the aspects of traveling and then create a plan by being a student of my calendar. And so one non-negotiable, number one, while I travel is my health. So instead of worrying about all the meetings I'm having, the flights I'm having, I prioritize making a plan to make sure that I get the movement necessary, the nutrition necessary, the meditation necessary in order to facilitate my non-negotiable of health. And so whether I'm traveling or not, I have an old saying, if you are healthy, you get as many wishes as you want. If you aren't healthy, you only get one wish. And since we live in an infinite world of wishes and hopes and dreams, it's much better to be healthy and have as many wishes as you want instead of that one wish to be healthy. So I prioritize health whether I'm traveling or not. I use a coach to help me with my movement, my meditation, and of course my sleep, and making sure all of the different things, my nutrition. I have a plan each day, and then I go to my family and I make the same type of plan. And then I actually spend a minimum amount of time being a student of my calendar, studying time to be productive, accessible, and gracious with all the activities I have, planned, unplanned, sleep, paid for, and unpaid for. So go ahead, get help, ask for help, make a plan, prioritize your health, and you'll have as many wishes every day as you want. And as those wishes aggregate, compound, and accelerate, you'll be amazed how many things in your life turn out the way you want them to turn out, or even better. I promise you. So thank you so much. All right, Jake, let me take another question from the webinar, or we have someone that wants to ask one here.
Why don't we take another question from the webinar, and then we'll come back to the Clubhouse.
All right, we got tons here. So what are some of the things you do? Oops, there's somebody coming in. It just moved on me. Let me find that one again. What are some of the things you do to get ready for a day of filming, or a day or filming? I think he meant of filming. So for me, it's how efficient, effective, and statistically successful can I be in every aspect of filming? And what are we learning? So each time we have a pre-meeting to go through exactly who, how, when, and where. And then afterwards, we look for improvement of who, how, when, and where. And it keeps aggregating and accelerating. And each time we do a show, and we are in season 4 of Office Hours, season 5 of 2 Minute Drill, season 9 of Elevator Pitch, which I'm just the executive producer of. Do not host or participate in that false facade of funding, which I don't like, but I like producing shows. It's all about understanding the efficiency, effectiveness, and statistical success. And I will tell you, what we did yesterday at the studio, Jake, was absolutely incredible. I want to give kudos to you and our team. I've been dealing, with media and movies and TV shows for a long time, and that was the most efficient execution. Filming 3 episodes with 3 spotlights and 6 guests on each episode, with breaks, with pictures, with transitions, with introductions, with closings, with pictures, with business development, and lunch, and a VIP dinner. All within the context of a day, not counting the digital show, our interview with YouTube superstars, and of course 3 coaching calls. So you can do it all. It just takes the aggregation, acceleration, and compounding of practice and planning. Once again, being a student of your calendar. And so those are what I do pre-meeting and post-meeting to keep accelerating, growing, and learning. Always be learning, Jake. All right, I'm going to start inviting people in myself. Please, if anyone, let's invite our family and friends into what I find to be a really fun room, one we learn in. But Jake, do we have someone that wants to ask me a question? Or I got hundreds online, so just let me know.
We sure do, David. Yes, always be learning. Let's bring up Gigi here on Clubhouse. Gigi, if you want to unmute yourself and feel free to ask David your question, welcome.
Hi, Jake. Hi, Dave.
Hi.
So my question is, if there is a person that's no longer with us and you wish to interview them, who that person is, and what would be the biggest lesson that you learned by reading about them that you want to learn more about, if you would have access to that person?
So you're asking me, it's someone that's died.
Yeah.
How do I have access, or what question would I ask them?
Yes.
Oh, that's easy for me. Jesus Christ. That's who I'd like to ask questions of. And the reason is that I think people's participation in the perception of Jesus Christ creates separation with similar intent, meaning that there's a whole mess of people on earth that have the same intent, and they participate in different perceptions of their higher self, of the Son of God, of the representation or participation of Jesus Christ or Krishna or whatever else you may see. And so I think being able to interview Jesus Christ and ask about the true story of his or her or its life would help to remind, remember, and recollect everybody into the unified, abundant, infinite source of thought that we are created from. And if we could have proof of anything, if we could have one lesson, a concrete example of unified, abundant, infinite system of thought, it would probably stem from being able to interview the Son of God. And I absolutely would love to have that interview and ask questions that nobody's thought of by being more interested than interesting. Did that surprise you?
Yes and no, because I had a conversation, and this just gave me chills 2 days ago with someone, and she was like, "We're created in the image of God," and I'm like, the only thing that I don't know, and I can't find it, is what is the actual image of God, and I think that's the search that we have to. It's like, expressing our potential, I think, is that, and we never achieve that. So you answering like this is surprising, but it's also like, oh well, I just had a conversation about something similar.
That's good.
So I think I need to search more into this. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think a bigger lesson above that we can prove is positive choices. And a lot of the foundational decisions that I have in my life are based off of simple positivity of foundation principles. So that, people ask me, do I believe in past lives or future lives? Well, I do believe in those things. And the reason I believe in those things is that I can't prove it any other way, one way or the other. So when I don't know what I don't know, and I can't prove what I don't know, I always choose the more positive of the foundational answers. And so for me, I have a choice. This is my only life, or there's multiple lives that I'm learning from, and I'll get another chance. That seems like a more positive approach aligned with my perspective. So I choose that one. People ask me, how do I believe in something bigger than me, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves me more than my mom? And I'll say, well, because it beats the alternative, that there's not. Can I prove it? Absolutely not. Do I know what I don't know? Absolutely. I don't know what I don't know. That's about it. But I would encourage people in foundational principles, in cornerstones of belief, to, if you can't prove it, faith inherent within it is the positive choice. And I will tell you that in my participation in this perception, it works for me. And it has very limited risk. It doesn't hurt anyone. Why? Because it's the positive perspective. It's a positive decision. And so many people waste their time trying to prove something that's unprovable, looking for what they don't want, what's missing, or the negative foundation of that participation in that perception. And then they wonder why they get more of what they don't want, what's missing, or why they live in the world of not enough or just enough, why they're buying things they don't need to impress people they don't like, why they're attracting the wrong things to their life. Because energy, action is energy, words are energy, thoughts are energy, beliefs are energy, and feelings are energy. Energy has 3 characteristics, and the first characteristic is aggregation. So if you are making negative decisions about the things that you don't know or can't prove, you're going to aggregate more negative people or more negative foundation to what you don't know and what you can't prove. The reverse or the inverse is true. Remember that energy has 3 characteristics. It aggregates on itself. It attracts more of like energy, like people, like ideas. It compounds on itself. So it provides, as we are consistent in what we do, say, think, believe, and feel, it compounds to give us an exponentiality of result. And the third characteristic is it accelerates on itself. So it happens faster. And so if we utilize our actions, words, thoughts, beliefs, and feelings in understanding the energy that it is, we can aggregate what we want, we can compound what we want, and accelerate what we want, including money, which is energy as well, behavior, which is energy as well. And so I highly suggest people to get out of their own way and ask themselves, do I actually know what I don't know, or am I guessing? And if you're guessing without any proof, whether Jesus Christ exists, Muhammad, Buddha, Joseph Smith, whoever else or whatever else, like I believe that there's something bigger than me, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves me more than my mom, it's simply based off of one fact. It beats the alternative. And I take that positive approach to aggregate positive approaches, accelerate my positive approach, and get the exponentiality of those positive approaches that I take in a participation of my own perception without putting it on or judging or creating conditions upon what I want on other people or what they want on me. What you think of me is none of my business. What I think of me and how I can be of service to you by what I think of me is all of my business. Great question, Gigi. My two favorite letters in the alphabet. Thank you so much for being the first one to come up in person on the Breakfast of Champions. But we have hundreds of questions here online. Jake, why don't you reset the room, and then we'll take the next question from wherever you tell me to take it from.
Let's do it. And yes, two favorite letters in the alphabet. Gigi, thank you for joining and asking your question. We're here in the Breakfast with Champions, quickly resetting the room. This is David Meltzer's hour, and today's topic is BYOQ. So you bring your question, Dave will bring the answer. If you have a question you'd like to ask here on Clubhouse, just feel free to raise your hand or back channel me, and we will aim to bring you up. As we continue to do that, let's continue to share the room here on Clubhouse. You can do that at the bottom. There is a square with an arrow. Share the room via Twitter, Facebook, your text messages, and then, of course, you can share it here on Clubhouse. So with that in mind, let's continue with the BYOQ. Dave, I wanted to ask you a question I see on the webinar here. As we have been filming Office Hours Season 4 for the last Thursday and Friday, and this Thursday and Friday. So today is actually the last day. If anyone would like to join today at Blue Wire at the Wynn in Las Vegas in the lobby, Dave will be filming from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. So feel free to stop by. You can also email David@dmeltzer.com, David@dmeltzer.com if you want some more info and you want to stop by today's filming. But Dave, the question I see here is, you've obviously interviewed 60 plus people over the last 3 days or 3 days of filming. Who's been the most eye-opening guest that you've had on for this year of filming in this season, and why?
That's a really difficult question because there's been so many, and I have a feeble memory, so I can't remember, in a matter of 3 days of filming, 60 some interviews. But I will tell you who stood out yesterday by far was Al Harrington, a 16-year NBA All-Star, who created a company in honor of his grandmother. And I wasn't expecting the wisdom and the lessons and the emotional ties that this unbelievable athlete had. And he blew me away with his emotional intelligence, with his entrepreneurial acumen, with the size of his heart, not the size of his body. But, I will tell you, beyond having the world thought leaders with us, Wim Hof blew me away, as always, the Jim Quicks and the Austin Ecklers and the Hermosis. I never had met them in person. Alex and Layla, incredible young entrepreneurs, old thought leaders. We try to bring in the spirit of excellence. We don't care what you do. You can be a billionaire, millionaire, entrepreneur, celebrity, athlete, entertainer. It doesn't matter to us. We want the spirit of excellence and to learn about that spirit so that you can apply your skills and knowledge with that spirit to live to your higher self, your best self, to be of service of others. I will tell you, the common denominator, Jake, of all these people is that they live their life of service. They live in abundance. They have more than enough for themselves, and their cup is overflowing so they can help others. And it's just a reminder, remembrance, and a recollection, like I said, a reunion of like-minded, like-hearted, and like-handed people that are of service and of value and aren't afraid of receiving so that they can give more. And each and every one of them in their own right brought a tremendous amount of value. And we did find out whether it's exceptional or not, that our show last season, Office Hours, which is season 3, is on Apple TV right now, every week launching a new episode. As we film season 4, we are out doing the Live Tour, the Live Golf Tour. And so maybe, the same testament of saying, oh, I'm taller than David Meltzer, but I was surprised with all the millions of dollars that they put behind that golf tour that we actually outperformed them last week. So super excited about that. Anyway, Jake, let's take another question.
Yes, thank you. Both all incredible guests yesterday, and we have more coming in today. Dave, I'll pass it back to you if you want to take, I know there's so many questions on the webinar. If you want to take a question on the webinar, and then we'll come back here on Clubhouse for a question.
Yeah, that's perfect. Best piece of advice that you got from your parents. I'm going to have to go. There's so many great pieces of advice that I got from my parents, not just from what they told me, but what they showed me, good and bad. One of my favorite pieces of advice that my mom gave me, and I always like to give a shout out to my mom because I wouldn't be here today without 2 women in my life, and that's my mom and my wife. But my mom told me when I was in law school and under extreme pressure, my oldest brother had passed away. I was getting kicked out of law school because of my credit, my loans that I was taking. One of my relatives had used my credit, and I couldn't. They're going to kick me out. I couldn't get law loans, and I had gotten a job offer to sell golf clubs in Japan for $60,000 plus commission in 1991. And so I called my mom when I was coming home for the funeral, and I said, I think I'm going to drop out of law school. And my mom was hysterical, was so surprised, gave me all of the different pieces of advice. But the one that rang true or resonated with me that changed my life with everything, even when I was at my all-time highs and when I was at my all-time low, my mom told me, if you don't invest in yourself, what are you ever going to invest in? And that every time I trust and vet opportunities, options, and touches a favor, anytime that I think about quitting, I remember, and recollect with the sage wisdom of my mom, who let me know that if I'm not going to invest in myself, what will I ever invest in? And I would hope that all of you remember, and recollect that as well when you're at your greatest struggles. So just a great piece of advice. Jake, we got tons of questions here on the multi-platform. So if no one's live, let me know. If someone's there, let me know.
Yeah, they keep on loading up on the webinar. So why not? Let's take more questions on the webinar, Dave.
Perfect. I know people are shy on Clubhouse now. They don't like to come up and ask questions, but we got tons here. Good morning, David. When you're doing introductions, how and when do you bring in the 20% introduction referral? So it's not necessarily 20%, right? It's an overlap agreement. It's not a binding agreement. It's an overlap agreement that says, hey, in the course of me and my activities I get paid for, don't get paid for, if I can find an option, opportunity, or touch or favor and make an introduction to you, then you will reward or accommodate or compensate me for that introduction, and vice versa. Anyone out there who wants to find a stage, a coaching client, a business advisory, consulting, sponsor, whatever it is that I do, then in return, in the overlap of your day, then that creates a mutual benefit and abundance. And I call it an overlap agreement. And I can send that overlap agreement to anyone. I think where people get confused, especially scarce people. I have probably over 1,000 of these out there. I make close to 8 figures now on overlap agreements, non-binding memorializations, is that people don't understand, like, oh, you know, I can only give you 3%. Yeah, terrific, right? I am going to prioritize opportunities, options, and touches of favor that bring the most to me so I can bring the most to others. So if you want to give me 1% or 0%, that's fine. If there's an obvious opportunity, option, or touch of favor for you, I'm going to make the introduction. If there's no other person to make the introduction to that is giving me more. And what I find is scarce people, they, you know, see it as, you know, a scarce thing, and they'll go ahead and say, oh, well, you know, I don't want to pay an introduction fee to you. Fine. Look, I got other people. But the dishonesty and the scarcity, they end up, the truth comes out in the end. And not only do they end up with no business, but they end up ruining their reputation and credibility by being dishonest, even though it's a non-binding agreement, right? Because somebody will call and say, oh my goodness, you know, I did $1 million deal with so-and-so that you introduced me for. Thank you so much. Sometimes I have overlap agreements on both sides, and I'm, you know, they may not know it, meaning the party that, you know, went behind my back and tried to manipulate a situation. What do you think happens, right? What is karma, consequence, and coincidence? They're not going to get the karma, the coincidence, or the consequences of all the collective consciousness of high-end people. They're going to start aggregating, compounding, and accelerating scarce people. And in the end, but I have one woman that's so scarce, I almost think she should trademark the word, I want a refund. Because, you know, everyone that I ever introduced her to, there just comes a point where she's like, well, just send me back my money. Like, she starts out knowing what she doesn't want. And the truth will come out, and she'll aggregate a whole bunch of dishonest people because she's dishonest. And I laugh now that I'm old enough to see how it all plays out. And I've learned my lessons by wondering, you know, how I could lose over $100 million, why I attracted the people, aggregated the people, accelerated the people, compounded the people in my life that were scarce, that were oversellers, back-end sellers, liars, manipulators, and cheaters. Right now, the overlap agreement protects me because it protects me from those type of people, and it's non-binding. So I have no expectations of all of receiving anything for every overlap agreement I have. I don't even need to sign them, right? It could be an email just to say, hey, if I introduce this person, you know, you're going to give me this. And if you introduce this person, I'm going to give you that. And let the universe, the abundant universe, take care of the rest. My greater concern is to aggregate, accelerate, and compound good people around me. Not people who live in blame, shame, justification, not people that live as a victim. Everything happens to them. It's true even with people that say negative things about you. You know, my TikTok people look, you know, and I have people, you know, sending comments and pictures so I can get a feel for what people are listening for. And I love, you know, it's like people are like, you're fat. Okay, well, I'm fatter than some and skinnier than others. But, you know, I would much rather understand you're protecting me, because if you want to like me for the way I look, I prefer to prioritize other people in my life. And I, for every person that calls me fat or some other judgment or condition on TikTok, you know, there's many, many more that call me and tell me, hey, thank you so much. You changed my life. Thank you so much. You changed my child's life. Thank you so much. You're able to allow me to make more money, help more people, and have more fun, change my mindset, my heart set. So many more people. But for whatever reason, most people, humans, they dwell on the people that call them fat. It took me years not to give it any energy and to realize that those people protect you, because those people that agree with attacks, judgments, separation, conditions are not people that you want to surround yourself with. They're not abundant people, and they're just going to attract and aggregate, compound, and accelerate more of those types of people. So anyway, if anyone wants a template on how to create a memorialization to overlap opportunities, options, and touches of favor in abundance in your life, I have a terrific template that we'll send it out in Word that you can change the criteria. Just remember, it's non-binding. It's a memorialization. If anybody wants me to help make introductions to them, or anyone has any introductions to us, I definitely want to create abundance. So go ahead, we can create a memorialization of that and help each other, or know people that can help each other. So thank you, Joe, for that question. And it's one of the most requested things I get. Just email me, david@dmeltzer.com, if you'd like an overlap agreement, a sample of that, a template of that. David is my first name at dmeltzer.com. Jake, we got someone live, or you want me to continue to answer all these questions?
We sure do, and yes, just reiterating your email, David. It's david@dmeltzer.com, david@dmeltzer.com. Feel free to email David for his overlap agreement he just mentioned. Send you a free book and pay for shipping as well. So if anyone, and also send his trainings or guides. So if anyone would like, just email David. Why don't we bring up Nick to ask me a quick question on here on Clubhouse. Nick, go ahead. Happy Friday, everybody. Dave and Jake, always appreciate you guys taking the time here. Dave, my question for you today is I always love keeping up with all the great lessons that you're learning on a daily week. What's your most valuable lesson learned this week?
Whew, another tough one, because there's so many lessons that I've learned. My mind is a blank on different lessons. I think, the lesson of, looking how deep our bench is, especially in America. A lot of people, aren't giving credit to, especially our younger generation, the elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, and colleges I'm just amazed, amazed. And I, was talking to Coach Mel Tucker, the head coach at Michigan State, and we were talking about Nick Saban. And, Nick Saban had a takeaway that Mel Tucker then shared with me, which was, as I believe this bench is deep, there's so much talent that we have to confront and challenge people. We just let things slide by and either hope that they'll change. And in the non-conflictual nature of wanting to please others, I think it's important that we want to confront others and challenge them to make a change for the better. And so if we can confront others and challenge them, sorry, I got people making noise. If we can confront others and challenge them to make those changes, and not be afraid to challenge those people, and not be afraid to confront them, we will accelerate the changes that we have. So, I think that's the biggest takeaway. I also like Chris Gardner, who they did the movie Pursuit of Happiness with. He said, who do you want to be? The guy who signs the front of the check or the back? I think that's a great, simple mindset to inspire people to be their best. If you want to be the guy who signs the front of the check or the back, it's your decision. And either way, make that decision. All right, Jake, thank you so much. Oh, sorry, Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. Let's take another question here on Clubhouse. Looks like Khalil wants to ask a question. Khalil, if you want to unmute yourself, go ahead. Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Jake. And good morning, everybody. It's Khalil here from Tucson. I want to send you some flowers here. Just want to tell you thank you. Thank you, David. I want to thank Glenn for creating this room space here and everybody that contributed, but especially to you and Jake being the maestro behind the scenes to make sure everything works. Every time I hear your voice, I just want to tell you, just touches everything. And so every dot in my body is, I feel every word you say, and that's just amazing the way how you do it, because I know the feeling. So every time, because we are such in a challenging world, and every day we go through, and that basically is that almost like the ceramic seal on the windshield around us to save us from everything that's going on around the world. But it's still beautiful. It's still a beautiful world. It depends how the glasses, how much they are clean. The glasses, how much are they clean or they are dusty and dirty. So with that, I want to thank you again. God bless, and so blessed to be in your presence, guys. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Khalil. And I want to bring up a point that Khalil has illuminated with his gratitude. And I'm always gracious for anyone who's expresses gratitude for others, me or whoever. But I think it's important that we understand intuition and the idea of what resonates with us. There's so much noise and so much information that's accessible today, especially with AI, that one, we have to understand intuition. So many people see intuition as an interpretive tool that gives us some sort of indication of what the answers are. And intuition is not that at all. Intuition is an indicator to be aware so that we can find the clues, see the patterns, and make better choices. Intuition should elevate our awareness, vibration, or frequency so that we can make better choices. It is not the choice itself. It is an indicator that this is something that resonates with me, is a coincidence, a consequence, a karma for us to pay attention to and give intention to in order to accelerate, aggregate, compound, and grow. And so when something resonates with us, and that something can be someone, a book, a podcast, a voice, a speech, whatever it may be, a show, if it resonates with us, then that's an indication that we should raise our awareness and create a system to access that information, because that information is simply more important than other information, but it is not the deciding choice. And so I'm in Las Vegas in the lobby of the Wynn filming our show, and I see people, playing craps in the casino, and they'll say something like, I knew it was going to be a hard 8. No, you didn't, because the last 6 rolls, you thought it was going to be something different. When you feel that the dice are going to be a certain number, it's not actually giving you the number. It's telling you to raise or heighten your awareness, to look for clues and patterns in order to make better choices, even in your gambling. And it may be to change the way that you're gambling or your mindset towards gambling from trying to make money or a scarce perspective into an abundant perspective of entertainment or some other aspect that you can carry forward into that lesson into your life. I have created a habit of knowing what resonates with me, of understanding intuition to elevate my awareness and then create a system in order to access that so I can find the patterns and make better choices so that I am aggregating, compounding, and accelerating what I want in the trajectory of what I think I want or better. All of these things coincide together. And as an indicator, this idea of what resonates to you or what your intuition or gut tells you should elevate your awareness, not decide your fate or your future. So thank you so much. You resonate with me too, Khalil. I appreciate your appreciation. We're adding value to each other in a value-add world. All right, Jake, reset the room, and I'll take a question on the webinar if you're okay with that.
That sounds great, and thank you, Khalil. Thank you, Nick, for your questions. Quickly resetting the room here. We are in the Breakfast with Champions. This is David Meltzer's hour here. Today's topic for David's training, he's been doing training for over 23 years, free training, is BYOQ. So you bring your questions, Dave will bring the answer. With that in mind, we've had great questions here on Clubhouse, great questions on the webinar. Let's continue to share the room here in the Breakfast with Champions. We can do that at the bottom. There's a little square with an arrow. You can push the share on the Clubhouse, invite people. You can ping people into the room. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, and share it in your text messages. So let's continue to share the room here, everybody. And we're creating an amazing community here in the Breakfast with Champions. So once again, I also want to iterate that today from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Wynn in Las Vegas at Blue Wire Studios, which is right next to the buffet. Dave will be filming episode 9, 10, 11, and 12 of Office Hours Season 4. If anyone would like to stop by to say hello to David during filming today. So, David, with that in mind, I'll pass it back over to you if you want to take 1 or 2 questions from the webinar, and then we'll come back here on Clubhouse to take a question here live.
Yeah, thank you. I love this question. What are the topics that you've been studying recently, and what have you learned? So, studying is the process of paying attention and utilizing my 5 levels of intention to create the coincidences that I want, the karma I want, the consequences I want. And the 5 levels of intention are what I do, say, think, believe, and feel. And what I've been studying is energy. And I notated a few times during the answers that I have some of the lessons that I've learned. And the greater clarification that I've learned recently about energy is, number one, everything is energy, and the energy that vibrates the fastest is closest to the truth. And we can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than us. And energy has 3 characteristics. And so, if everything's energy, when certain things, people, places, ideas, circumstances, events that are coinciding in my life, are a consequence of my life, are a karma in my life, are a participation of a perception in my life, I categorize it as energy. And therefore, no matter what it is, when I see it as, hey, this is just energy, I want to see what energy I'm going to give that energy. Because I know the energy, whether I do, say, think, believe, or feel it, towards that energy of the circumstances, events, people, ideas, whatever it is, table, chair, floor, whatever energy I'm going to give to it has these 3 characteristics that will aggregate more of it, compound it, giving me exponentiality in the progress of it, and accelerate it. And so, even though my human senses do not have the capabilities in order to effectuate understanding the aggregation, compounding, and acceleration in its immediacy, I know that no matter what is occurring in the participation of my perception of my daily journey, that everything that I experience is energy, and my future is determined upon the energy I give that energy through the 3 characteristics of outcomes, of consequence, of coincidence, of karma. So if I want to have better outcomes or better than better outcomes, then I need to know the 3 characteristics of energy, which is the energy which I give energy, aggregates, attracts more of like kind, like mind, like hand, like material, like money, whatever it may be. It then starts compounding on itself until I can have a physical awareness of the progress that I'm making towards the energy that I'm giving that energy. And it also accelerates, which means the energy that I give that energy, as it aggregates and compounds, it accelerates and comes to me not only in a better form, but faster, allowing me to be happier. And so, as I study energy and the energy that I give energy, and understanding the 3 characteristics of energy, I then can utilize mathematics in order to formulate that mathematical equation of luck in my life, that what I pay attention to and what I give intention to will equal the coincidences or better that I want, which results in happy outcomes and results into a universe of more than enough, and also a system of infinite, abundant, unified, no separation of thought, which then aggregates, accelerates, and compounds on itself. And that community of opportunity grows, giving me more options, opportunities, and touches of favor. So keep on studying energy and the energy that you give energy and the characteristics of energy in order to facilitate the outcomes that you want in your journey or better. Woo! Take that and a bag of chips, Jakey. You want me to take another question online, or you have someone you want me to talk to? All right. I'm having fun with it. This question: how do you know when it's time to move on from a project, an idea, or a company? What's the determining factor of when to cut it loose or keep going? Well, I have a different perspective or paradigm about the continuum of activities. I think too many people define things by project, they define things by idea, and they define things by entity or company or corporation. I know that those are finite definitions that so many people participate in. For me, I believe in progress. I believe in enjoying the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential. I believe in utilizing 5 daily practices to determine what I want today, personally, experientially, giving and receiving. Who can help me? Who could I help? And how best to get it done, utilizing lenses of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. Studying the activities I plan, don't have planned, and my sleep, activity I get paid for, and activity I don't get paid for. Non-determinative upon the definition or defining names that I give projects, ideas, or businesses, corporations, or entities. I prioritize my day by giving meaning to the lessons that I've learned, the defining moments, inflection points, failures, setbacks, and mistakes, by giving meaning to it in a trajectory towards what I think I want in the future. So if external circumstances change when I wake up today, I have every day a formulatic way to make decisions of what I want. And if what I want personally, experientially, giving and receiving is not aligned in the trajectory of what I think I want, or it doesn't help who, or I can't find someone to help me, I then utilize the activities I plan, don't have planned, and sleep, activity I get paid for, and the activity I don't get paid for to adjust to the trajectory of what I think I want. So there is no rash decisions. There's only an accumulative, aggregated, compounded decision-making process that allows me to make adjustments every day, which will always maximize my opportunities, options, and touches of favor by prioritizing what's important to me, by knowing what I want, who I can help, who can help me, and how to get it done. And so I consistently, regardless of the project, idea, entity, corporation, or company, I am consistently applying my why. I'm not seeing things as cutting it loose versus keep going. I just keep going, and I'm maximizing my trajectory by keep going to what's important to me each day. And usually by doing so, there's only subtle adjustments that are needed when you're doing it daily. If you go back in time to Sanskrit, to the lessons of Sanskrit or the daily practices of Sanskrit called the Bhagavad Gita, which I study every day. If you go back to that, there are just simple ways to know what's important to you and the trajectory of what you think you want and applying your why. Instead of trying to go get something and then cut it loose when you don't think you can get it, you just keep going. You keep doing your best, learning lessons and having fun and applying your why. You are already there. You are already part of the system, the unified, abundant, infinite system of thought that allows you to maximize your progress and potential by knowing that I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy, and figuring out what you're doing to interfere with it. So if an entity, corporation, company, idea, or project is aggregating and accelerating and compounding in a negative direction, you may want to alter the course of direction and keep going in a different direction with a different entity, corporation. But those clues, patterns, and choices are easy to make when you have daily practices of knowing what's important to you and prioritizing accordingly and re-engineering the prioritization and always applying your why. Find out what you're doing to interfere with it. Do your best, learn lessons, and have fun. And regardless of the project, idea, or entity, you keep going. It may take a different form, a different name, but that's okay. You haven't cut it loose. You have aggregated, compounded, and accelerated it. It's just taken on a different consequence, coincidence, or form, different outcome, a better outcome, protected and promoted every single time. Cutting it loose is a form of scarcity. Progressing, aggregating, compounding, and accelerating is abundance. A world of more than enough. More than enough of everything for everyone. Not a zero-sum game. not a zero-sum game. You don't have to cut anything loose. Just keep going in a trajectory of what you think you want. Great questions today. You're always known by the questions you ask, and the levels and layers of understanding and wisdom that you have are always displayed and illustrated by the questions that you ask. And I appreciate the questions that we get here in this community of opportunity, the Breakfast of Champions. And of course, I always want to give a big shout out to the 10X speaking champion himself, Glenn Lundy. And we miss him. I remember how many hours he's poured into this community, creating it, and how many hours he spent in the Breakfast of Champions himself. And now he has empowered so many others to do the same. Jake, do you have someone on Clubhouse that'd like to ask us a question?
Sure do. Let's bring up Colleen to ask a question here on Clubhouse. Colleen, what's your question?
Good morning, everybody. Dave, love the karma is coincidence and consequence. I thought that was really powerful. My question today is, we've been talking a lot about frequency, and obviously that comes with trying to find people with open minds, people that are on your frequency, people that are in your neighborhood. But I was thinking about the expression, get on my level this morning, and kind of a quick how to find people that are in your neighborhood. Do you feel like the quickest way is to be that electron in the center of the room to attract those people? Or do you feel like it's something that if you want the people around you to be on the same frequency and they're open to it, it's more about educating them?
Okay, I think, there's a little clarification that's necessary because your frequency is your neighborhood. And number one, if you want to elevate your frequency in your neighborhood, you want to find people that sit in a situation that you want to be in and ask them for help. Therefore, asking them to meet you where you're at and help you get to where they're at. The inverse is true as well. If you want someone to move into your neighborhood, then you need to meet them where they're at and show them how to get to where you're at. And I think that's a much simpler way of looking at frequency awareness, understanding. The thing that you have to understand is that you can't change someone or get them to where you're at because you want them to be there. In order to get someone to where they're at to where you're at, or to get yourself where you're at to where those people are at, the higher level of frequency, you have to have three things. You have to have the skills, the knowledge of who and what, and the desire to do so. The skills and the knowledge would be the basement. That would be a requirement that some people their basements are so low, no matter what their desire is, in this lifetime, this journey, they're never going to get to where you're at. So if Michael Jordan, for some reason, wanted me in his basketball neighborhood to be at the frequency that he's at, it would be impossible in this lifetime because of my skills and knowledge. Now, my desire, if Michael Jordan wanted me to create a delta in my life that was equivalent to the delta in his life, according to the skills and knowledge of basketball, then he could meet me where I'm at and he could help me have the same delta that he had. The difference is my skills and knowledge are so low that my potential would probably be, a starting high school basketball player or a third string Division III basketball player, where his delta equal to mine was to being the greatest of all time, or arguably the greatest of all time if you're a LeBron fan or Kobe fan. I don't really care. They all have incredible deltas. I think the more important lesson and the clarification is that we have two different base camps. One base camps ahead of us as we climb the mountain, and base camps behind us as we climb the mountain. And that we have to effectuate attention and intention to meet people in base camps below us that have the skills, the knowledge, and desire to get to our base camp. But we also have to find people at a base camp ahead of us that will meet us at our base camp and guide us to their base camp. One thing I've learned about each of these people is the majority of the people of the base camps below and above us want to get to a base camp higher, but also want to help others get to where they're at and encourage you to get to where you want to be. The only people that don't want you to do so are people that are in base camps behind you. People in base camps ahead of you are always encouraging, telling you, you can do it, let me help you. Most people are afraid to ask because they think it's not humble. The absolute counterintuitive approach is to ask people that sit in a situation where you want to be in for help. Tell them, please meet me where I'm at and show me how to get to where you're at. But also have the humility to help other people and meet them where they're at and give them directions to where you're at. Notating there's two things that may make it impossible. One, their skills and knowledge are so low, they never could get to your base camp, even though they can create a great delta and enjoy the pursuit and persistent pursuit of that potential, but they may never get there. Or if they don't have the desire, they'll never get there. And so if we can meet them where they're at, determine where their skills and knowledge is at, and confirm their desire, it's the best use of our time. And that's where I prioritize my time in helping others. And you can do the same. Awesome question. Jake, we got 5 more minutes. Why don't you reset the room and let me know where to go?
I will let you know where to go. Yes, we got 5 minutes left here. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We get a chance to ask your question today. Also, feel free to just email David@dmeltzer.com. David@dmeltzer.com. He's happy to answer your question. And thank you, everyone, for sharing the room as well. And we hope to see some of you today also in Las Vegas at the Wynn at Wire Studios. David will be filming office hours from 9:30 a.m. or so to 5 p.m. So if you want to stop by, just feel free to let David know or just come to the Wire Studios at the Wynn in the lobby over there in Las Vegas. So if you want to take a question on the webinar, and if there's time, so let's finish the webinar questions here.
No problem. I do want to remind people that if they want the overlap agreement or the daily practices, email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I also be happy to send my book. I'll sign it, send it to you, ship it to you, pay for the book and shipping. And one other thing with Alex Ramosi, him and I share the same strategy of providing content that other people will share. And please, if anyone can help me share my content and do good deeds, that's the simplest way to complete our mission of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy, to teach them how to make a lot of money in abundance, help a lot of people in abundance, and have a lot of fun in the unified, infinite, abundant system of thought. Anyway, next question. What's the difference between motivation and inspiration? And it's truly your understanding of fear. Fear exists in both motivation and inspiration. In motivation, fear can be utilized to get us up, get us back up, and get us started. And the reason that's so important is the effort it takes to get from 0 to 1 to be motivated, to get up, get back up, get started, and get back started. The energy that it takes to get from 0 to 1 is equal to the energy it takes to get from 1 to 100 in inspiration. The difference is the utilization of fear. Both require the practice of identifying fear. And there's 2 types of fear in the practice of identifying fear. One is fear of the past and one is fear of the future. Fear of the past manifests itself as a super category with regret and guilt. Fear of the future manifests itself in worry and anxiety. The more we identify fear and can categorize it as fear of the past or fear of the future, categorizing as guilt or regret or worry or anxiety, we then can understand the needs of the ego that feed the utilization of fear. Knowing that we can utilize fear to get us up, get us back started, get us started, and get us back up, to get from 0 to 1 in motivation, but also understanding by identifying fear when we are from 0 to 1 to get to 1 to 100, that the identification of fear within the context of the needs of the ego-based consciousness that interferes, F-E-A-R, interferes with our potential, our truth, understanding the difference between being punished and protected and promoted, that if we identify our fear, we then can utilize abundance in order to be inspired. Because what we want to do after we're motivated from 0 to 1 is we want to be inspired by clearing the fear. So identifying fear of the past and fear of the future, and utilizing it to get motivated, to get us up, get us back up, get us started, get us back started, and then understand the identification of the needs to be right, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, resentful, just to name a few. And if I can identify fear in the course of inspiration, instead of resisting it, fighting it, logicking it, analyzing it, lying to it, cheating it, manipulating it, deny it, I simply stop and remind it, remember it, recollect it with the unified, abundant, infinite system of thought, putting myself from dis-ease into ease, allowing myself to breathe and get to center so that I can roll in the right trajectory, the trajectory of what I think I want, utilizing my what, my who, my how, my now, and applying my why. If you know what you do now and next, you are so far ahead of the game in the trajectory of what you think you want or better. That's the difference between motivation and inspiration, the identification and utilization of fear. If anyone wants any of these exercises, guides, or my book, happy to send them to you. It's 8 o'clock Pacific time, 11 o'clock Eastern time, right on the dot, Jakey Bakey. Please, everyone, come see us at the Win. Please check out Office Hours on Apple TV. Please be more interested than interesting. And most importantly, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Jakey of the Bakey, close out the room. Thank you, everyone. You guys are incredible. Come by, see me at the Win. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com. We're here for you. What you're listening for, please come reach out, share my content, do good deeds. Thank you.